All right, let's talk about the biggest testosterone killers, guys. All right, and so I'm going to show you something, because what you see here is you see how the body actually, for a man, how the body processes hormones. So you see at the top, you see is that literally cholesterol is the delivery system when it comes to a lot of different things. Cholesterol is not bad. Cholesterol is just basically the carrier. And so in order for men to be able to make things like pregnenolone, DHEA, and testosterone, things like that, the backbone of it is cholesterol. So guys, the biggest thing that can interfere with cholesterol is taking cholesterol-lowering medication. This is why they came out with drugs for erectile dysfunction right around the same time that cholesterol medications actually came out. You want to tank your testosterone that's probably already tanked, is start taking a cholesterol medication on top of that, okay? So let's talk about testosterone. So you see how the body converts these different hormones, finally getting into testosterone. But I want you guys to notice something that is really interesting, okay? Because once it becomes testosterone, it still needs to become metabolized. So it has the option of metabolizing it into what's known as DHT, dihydrotestosterone. Now, if you've ever have seen medications, hair products, things like that, that are known as DHT blockers, this is what they are talking about, because DHT is a very, very potent form of testosterone. It's about 10 times more potent than testosterone, but this is like the hair killer. This is what kills the hair on your head. This is what kills the hair on your ankles. DHT. This is also what grows the prostate very quickly. So it's very androgenic. It's very like tissue building, which is why it can cause your prostate to grow quite a bit. This is why a lot of men, if they're very high on DHT, why they have problems with having an enlarged or swollen prostate, okay? A lot of medications and things like that are DHT blockers as well. But it also needs to be metabolized into something else, and that metabolite is known as estradiol, okay? So this is why, if you look at men who take exogenous testosterone, okay, if they take that, this is why a lot of times they're going to take an estrogen blocker. They're trying to block the conversion of that testosterone they're taking into estradiol, because if you're taking a lot of it's going to get converted. Bad lifestyle, taking a ton of testosterone, it will then cause a man to have things like breasts. It will become emotional. They'll have all kinds of other issues because their estradiol levels start to raise as well. So testosterone, you want it, you want to be able to hang on to it, but what can cause this to get absolutely damaged, blocked, and not be metabolized quickly, okay? So guys, if you've ever heard of what's known as estrogen dominance, okay? This is very important. I don't know if I necessarily like the term estrogen dominance, but really what it means is that if you are estrogen dominant, you have too much estradiol, and you also have a problem at the liver in methylating these hormones for excretion, okay? So men, I will tell you, absolutely do have a problem today, especially with estrogen dominance. In fact, I was actually having a conversation with a man. He's like, he asked, he said, can someone who is 25 years of age do the Man Up Challenge? And I said, absolutely. I said, I've actually have measured 13 and 14-year-old boys, or young men, whatever you want to call them, who have absolutely had testosterone, issues with testosterone metabolism and very high levels of estrogen. And this actually goes to a lifestyle component. It also goes to some of the foods that we are eating, and skincare products. It's actually in our water, plastics, things like that, that can actually mimic estradiol inside of the body. So here's where a lot of men run into a lot of issues. This is where they go into this vicious cycle, okay? So the first thing is that, they get out of school, they get a job, they get a family, they get the kids, and they just start becoming sedentary, inactive. They start eating a bunch of sugar. They probably are drinking more alcohol because they're stressed. And what that actually does is that will cause the deposition of fat. So they're going to start to become obese. They're going to get more fat deposition, okay? Now, one of the things that happens is fat is just not an inert tissue. Fat can produce low levels of inflammation, and it also can produce estradiol. So as that happens, what you're going to see is you're going to increase what's known as this enzyme called aromatase, and that will actually convert your testosterone into estradiol. So the more fat mass you have, the more you're converting your testosterone into estradiol. And so as this then starts to increase, you'll have a decrease in muscle mass. And then what happens is an increase in fat, an increase obesity. And then what happens is this cycle just continues, and it's a never-ending cycle. It's a vicious circle. So then what happens is when a man starts to see low levels of testosterone, one of the things that they'll start to see is they'll start to see that their energy goes down, their sleep isn't very good, they're tired in the morning, they don't really want to work out, they resemble more the couch than they do, a barbell. But you'll see the sex drive go out. They have problems with erectile dysfunction. You will see that they start to develop more breast tissue. You'll see that they can develop a swollen prostate, some prostate issues, some problems with starting and stopping when it comes to urination. So they start to develop literally all of these different issues that are going on. And here is what mainstream medicine says. They say, well, you're getting older. This is just normal. And I disagree wholeheartedly. It is common, yes. It is never, ever, ever normal. There's a difference between common and normal. If I were to go down into downtown Chicago, I probably would get beat up and mugged at 2 a.m. with how things are going now. That would be common, but no one would ever look back and say, you know what, that's just normal. You need to get used to it. So there's always going to be a difference between common and normal, okay? So here is just some basic things on what happens, what will cause that testosterone to convert either into estradiol or into DHT, dihydrotestosterone, much more potent, which is what's causing the hair loss, the growth of the prostate, what's causing loss of hair on the legs, and everybody right now looks down and sees that they're still able to produce, grow hair on the ankles, or they're looking at their head and trying to see if they still have that as well. And so here's some of the biggest things that's going to increase that estradiol. It's going to increase aromatase activity and the conversion into DHT. Number one, men, you got to check your insulin levels, okay? You have to check your insulin levels. This is what doctors aren't actually measuring. Do you know how many times we have come back and we have said you have extremely high insulin levels? Your blood sugar is actually normal still. And they're like, yeah, my doctor said everything was good, but their insulin levels are sky high because they stop hearing this hormone insulin. They become resistant to insulin, which means the pancreas has got to kick out a lot more insulin in order to shuttle sugars into the cells or into fat cells. They just don't hear that hormone anymore. So what can cause that is sugar and stress. Dr. Nate, I don't have any sugar, all right? I don't have very little sugar. Well, what we mean by sugar is not just the fine granulated powder, that not cocaine, but sugar that most people are addicted to, but it's also things what we would call like high fructose corn syrup, any high fructose type of food, things that rapidly convert into glucose, once they are desorbed. So very easily and rapidly digested carbs. So this is going to be pasta, rice, this is going to be bread. So this is really, when we say sugar, anything that rapidly turns to sugar inside the body. And this is why one of the most potent things when it comes to a man's testosterone is actually not giving them any kind of testosterone, quote unquote, boosters. It's actually getting their insulin levels back under control. So yes, can avoiding sugar for a man increase testosterone? Yes, 100%, absolutely. But listen, sometimes actually some herbs that help to increase insulin sensitivity, that can influence testosterone more than things like tribulus or passion flower or maca, things like that are known to actually increase testosterone. Here's a problem. If you do that, but you haven't got the foundational work, all it's going to do is increase testosterone only to be aromatase into estradiol or be converted into DHT. But the other thing too is long-term stress. Now, short-term stress can absolutely increase a man's testosterone, But when you talk about long-term stress, this kind of stress that never goes away, remember, that's also going to increase the hormone cortisol, which then is constantly mobilizing blood sugars, which is going to cause your insulin levels to go up. So not all types of insulin resistance is due just to sugar. It can also be to long-term mental, chemical, and physical stressors as well. Next one is going to be alcohol. Alcohol is going to do this like you would not believe. So yes, it's, well, Dr. Nate, I only have 1 or 2 drinks. There's still going to be an effect. Now, just remember this. This doesn't happen, by binging on something for 2 weeks. This is years and years of neglect and abuse. And the good thing is that it takes a lot less time to turn it around if you are just doing the right things. And then finally, inactivity and obesity, okay? Now, what do we mean by inactivity? Well, just remember this. The body supplies hormones based on demand. So if you, your husband, if you're just sitting around on the couch and not doing any activity other than the occasional walking, just remember this, is that testosterone, one of the functions of testosterone, yes, is for reproduction, but it is also very anabolic. It is for muscle growth. So think about this. If you are not doing high intensity exercise, if you are not doing some level of weightlifting and resistance training, you are not signaling to cells that they need to grow. And so inactivity is a testosterone killer. Obesity is a testosterone killer just because of just the nature of fat cells and the hormone response they have to estradiol. But inactivity is a huge thing. And guys, testosterone does not get produced when you are running and going on the stair stepper, the Stairmaster, on the elliptical. You have to be doing high intensity exercise and you have to be doing resistance training. You need to be doing both of them, and this is why I like combining both at the same time. So high intensity training and weightlifting at the same time. And it doesn't have to be very long. So yesterday I did a workout and it was 10 minutes of work. Today I did a high intensity workout and it took me 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Just so you know, it doesn't have to take a whole heck of a lot of time. So guys, I'm gonna tell you something. Now tell me how much money it costs to start reducing and avoiding sugar, to start handling your stress better, sleeping 8 hours a night, saying no to alcohol, and going to work out. It costs you absolutely zero. But you know what? Some of the side effects of actually having low testosterone are things, yes, like heart disease, yes, obesity, type 2 diabetes, all of that. Now tell me how much that costs. Even with great insurance, you know how much that costs. They say that it will cost a person out of their own pocket $144,000 after insurance to take care of type 2 diabetes and all of the medical complications when it comes to, which really means that it's costing the United States anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million, depending on your insurance coverage. It's costing that much to be able to handle it. Yet doing these things right here cost you absolutely nothing. Other than the fact is you're going to need to change up here. You're going to need to develop a little bit of mental fortitude, and you're really going to need to become a different person that got you in the position in the first place. And I realize that is one of the hardest things to be able to overcome. I want to give you a perfect example. You know how they say that a man's testosterone declines with age? I'm going to show you why that is absolutely malarkey, baloney, whatever fancy word you want to give to it. But this is a guy who's 57 years of age. And we took his first test with his testosterone. And he actually been working with us for a while. So we took it about 3 months in. His testosterone was at about 443 back in December of 2019. We just retested him, took about a year, and his new testosterone was actually at 742. You actually can see that his estradiol went down by a lot. So it actually more than halved within that time period. So here is his testosterone has almost doubled. His estradiol has almost been cut in half. And so here's someone who aged over a year and at 57 years of age has a testosterone level. And I will say this, higher than most 25-year-olds that start when they start working with me. So here's a guy. Now here's the thing. Is he on any kind of testosterone boosters? Yes, we did give him some after the fact. However, this guy eats like a champ. This guy works out, high intensity weightlifting, and this guy keeps up with people who are in their 25s and 30s. And people say, man, what's going on with that guy? And he's not taking anything illegal. It's just his lifestyle has lined up with how the body is supposed to function and supposed to heal. I'm going to tell you something. Men, if your man is in his mid-50s, there is hope. I will tell you that. There is hope. So I am now entering into my mid-40s. And, as far as strength number, exercise, the ability to do that, I have held on from my mid-30s. And I don't actually train that much, about 4 to 5 times a week, not very long, but it really comes down to lifestyle, avoiding sugar, avoiding the alcohol, and, getting in high intensity exercise, and making sure that you are feeding those pathways the way that they're supposed to. And then and only then should you actually start to worry about how can I get my testosterone even higher. So yes, I do some things in order to help improve it. However, none of it makes any sense, nor is it going to work long term if you haven't done some of the main things when it comes to your lifestyle. I know that, guys, there's a lot of guys out there, wives, if you're thinking about your husband, I know that the biggest thing is that you're saying, well, where on earth do I need to start? Like, where do I need to start? You guys can start at any time. You guys actually, it doesn't really require my help to start avoiding sugars and start to exercise. However, I will say this, is that many times the thing that's going to work best for people is having a regimen and having a program to follow and having accountability with other like-minded men, including myself. So this is why coming up on Saturday for the Yorkville area, why we're doing, initially the Man Up event. And we're going to talk to you about why your testosterone is so low in a lot more detail than what I talked about, but really where you start in order to work on getting it back up. And so afterwards, we're going to give those men an opportunity for a 4-week mentorship. And yes, it's going to involve working out. Yes, it's going to involve some fasting. Yes, it's going to involve giving up sugar. But it's also going to involve a lot more than that, because many times men run into, like, I'm at this precipice where, things are just not working out the way that they're supposed to. So we're going to go into a little bit of mindset as well, because I believe that if you can work on changing this, the actions are going to, as a natural consequence, follow after that. So yes, we are going to go into some priority training, and I will show you why so many men, they have their priorities, and then you look at how they're spending their time. There is such a disconnect between the two. And we are going to prove that you are a liar. If this is your priorities, then we're going to show you how you align your priorities with how you are spending your time. And we're also going to go over a little bit of dopamine detoxing too. So we'll get into that, but we add each one each week so that it's doable, it's manageable, anybody can do it. And if you go onto our page, you'll see some awesome stories of some men who have committed to doing it, and they will say, my life is completely changed and transformed. But just remember this, they made the decision. They made the decision. I didn't make it for them. They made the decision. And many times, I will tell you, you need to be at this precipice where you don't know where to turn, and that this is really the only way for your life to get better. And it's sad that it needs to be at that level, because some people don't have the option to actually turn it around. Some men, they die of a heart attack. Some men, they develop, they see that they have stage 4 cancer. And so I'm telling you guys, make sure that you work on changing before it's too late. Because the reality is that your kids need a strong man who is healthy. Your wife wants a strong man who is healthy. They don't want a roommate anymore. They want the husband that they married when you were 25 or 30 years of age. That's what they want. I promise you, that's what they want, all right? So when I made all of these changes, life got a lot better. Body, mind, and spirit, business, everything got better, okay? So you have to make those changes. So let me ask you guys a question if you guys are watching again. For those of you who are not from the area, let us know if you guys would be interested, or your husbands or someone you know who would be interested in a virtual option. that would be within a Facebook group. So they'll still have the accountability, they'll still have the resources, and they'll still have me, but not actually in person, but we'll make it happen. So we're gonna have a lot of people that'll be here at the event, but we'll also hopefully make it available for people who want the virtual option. And if we do, if you have enough people that say, yes, I want that, then we will work on a way in order to get you guys within the group and the resources to you. We'll strategize and we'll make sure that we make it happen so it is a seamless transition from doing it virtual and making sure that you guys are getting great results. So let me know, is this something that you guys want to do? And if it is, let me know, say yes in the comments. If we have enough people, again, we'll be happy to look into that option of being able to do it virtual. All right? So guys, that's how the biggest testosterone boosters. Remember, it costs you $0 to do those things, but just think about it. The payoff is enormous. And this is coming from personal experience. The payoff is absolutely incredible. The payoff is enormous. Your life can never be the same once you start making those changes. All right? So guys, I hope you like our Monday Live. Make sure you guys share this if you don't. Tag someone who you think has low testosterone. They probably won't like you for it, but if they listen with an open mind, eventually they will. So guys, be well. Hope you guys have a great night, and we will talk very soon.